my vision is that women can come to YouTube and hear inspiring stories, and hopefully it will help them take a leap of faith. And you've taken a major leap of faith. You were working in corporate America.
I worked with a lot of those investment banks.
And then you were there for like years, right?
Yeah, yes.
And then you somehow felt this calling or desire to be an actor?
Well,
or had it always been there?
As a kid, I always had the lead in school plays. I was a really shy kid, probably like a lot of us. I still am by nature. And I enjoyed performing, and I took a straight and narrow path, But I think I always really wanted a creative life. So very shortly after law school, I started studying acting. And I always did things besides working, and I was pretty young. I was 23 when I was already licensed and practicing, and a little bit ahead of myself. So I always did different things, but that I just couldn't stop. So I'd move from one to the other to the other. It was just something that I connected to and really wanted to keep doing.
When did you know it was time to quit your job and the comforts of having the corporate job and all the benefits?
$1 million question.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew it was time. I think for me it just happened. I think there comes a point where you can't do a million things at the same time, even though now I do a million things at the same time, as we all do. But you really need to give yourself a chance. Sometimes life just leads you that way. There was a restructuring, I believe, where I was, and then I started my own practice, and I did have my own time, and events just happen. It wasn't planned. It just kind of worked from one to the next to the next.
Mm-hmm.
I quit my full-time job, but I've done that more than once.
Okay.
So it's not as easy as it might look,
Right.
and it's still not easy. People need to know that. So the first time I left for a year to just work on my craft and take more full-time acting classes and be able to audition and things like that. But then I went back to work again, but I started my own practice as a lawyer.
Okay.
So that I had some flexibility. And then a lot of those, I had an expertise in technology and intellectual property, and it was a lot newer then. I was there at the beginning of the internet. I was able to, a lot of the companies knew about me. A lot of people didn't do it back then. I was fortunate, and I worked hard and I taught myself a specific skill that a lot more people have now. It's like a hot commodity, intellectual property.
Right.
Especially
yeah.
Technology, the internet. And so I went, and some of those other companies that you're talking about, investment banks, I got them as my clients. So I worked like an actor on my own. And I remember even getting Merrill Lynch as a so-called client, but I had an office there, and they knew on Wednesdays that I had other business. I didn't let them know it was acting. And that's when I would go to my classes and try to schedule as much as I could.
It's true. Sometimes as an actor you have to hide a little bit. Not hide, but you're saying that you didn't tell them what you were doing. I felt like that too sometimes when I lived in New York. Leaving my office, being I'm going to lunch.
I will speak to that because I think that's very important. And when I speak with actors or anyone, it's important to let people know who you are, because I hid it on both sides for a really long time. I didn't tell anybody when I was lawyering that I was an actor, because I had once had a bad experience with my first movie, and the general counsel I had a client said, "Oh no, we need a lawyer, not an actress." And so then I wouldn't, if I wasn't available, I wouldn't say why. And then especially when I came out here to Los Angeles, I didn't want anyone to know that I was a lawyer, and I would hide that in the acting world. But it really wasn't until I let people know exactly who I was that things started to grow and blossom for me. And my best opportunity actually came. It was a very different character than I am or I was as a lawyer, but really my biggest movie to date came playing a lawyer, being yourself. And as an actor, we need to understand the material, and that's what gets you there. So it's important to bring everything that you do, brings you to where you are. And I say now, don't hide.
And were there any challenges that came up?
Of course.
And how did you deal with them? Or what was the hardest challenge, and how did you deal with it?
The hardest challenge I didn't have as strongly at the beginning, but I had it, which is money and an income.
Yeah.
I saved money.
Okay.
And lived off of it. But then that challenge gets greater because you need to replenish it. And so I'm an actor now, like everybody, so it's a challenge.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is fear. Fear hits all of us, and fear is stifling.
It is.
So that's something that I've always put away or not lived in, or just, and being positive.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's a challenge. I think I'm fortunate. I think we're born with like the glass half full or empty, and I'm lucky that it's half full. But there are times, especially as an artist and struggling, that it's empty, but not getting stuck there.
Yeah. So how do you not get stuck in that fear? I think a lot of actors have that. I mean, I know you
got to do something.
Yeah.
You can't stay stuck in it. You do something. I think action, exercise is great. Just doing something, not getting stuck. One of the things we were just talking about, having a place to go every day. That's a hard thing, but maybe some kind of a routine is helpful.
How have you become bi-coastal?
Be careful what you wish for. That's what I tell people, because it looks
appealing and glamorous.
Yeah, it's not easy for so many reasons, but usually you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then you have relationships in both places, and you need to be in one place when you're in the other, or you're pining for the other, or it used to be I'd get nervous before I'd leave and come back to either one. But how do you do it? Well, I mean, I'm a New York resident. I'm always a New Yorker. You work hard. You ultimately, I would say, you try to get representation in both places, which I have, but that doesn't really matter. You need to find work yourself. That's the one thing that I would tell actors too. So much of my stuff has come through networking. I mean, I hate the word networking, but I'll use it for this purpose. Just meeting people. People work with people they like. And I also am a believer, you started to talk about spirituality, like things just happen the way they're
supposed to happen, right?
I sometimes hesitate saying that, but they do. And if that's meant to happen, they'll be a way.
What made you decide to take the leap of faith to do this feature film?
I've been carrying around a couple of things for a while now, and just I think really waiting for the right opportunity, but then I just started to really make it happen. And I still have 2 other things, and others, that I want to do right afterwards. But I had lunch with Walter, the novelist, a while ago. I've known him for a while on a social level. I read it, and I called him up right away, and I said, have you ever thought about making this into a movie? Because that's what I saw. He said, yes, but my agents, nobody wants to touch it. It's racy material. But I also see the business. I mean, what we do is, we're artists, but my dad always says, remember, I'm sure other people have said it, it's not show art, it's show business. But this novel just really hit home in so many ways. I saw it as a love story. So I told him I don't think it's a studio picture. I think I gave him my thoughts. It's an independent picture. He's like, so produce it. I said, okay. I mean, somebody said that, and especially him. So that's how it started.
You're just going to have your own production company here.
I've just formed one.
That's awesome. What would you say to women who are watching this, who have all these ideas? They don't even have to be creative, but just ideas and things that they want to do and create, and they feel like their life should be going this way, but it's going this way. What would you, if you could tell them one piece of advice, what would you say to them?
Just try it. You never know. I've always tried lots of different things. You never know what'll stick. And when you say going different ways, sometimes you need to fight a certain direction. Sometimes you need to feel inside and just follow. There's a reason that you're being drawn in a different way. You have to be reasonable. We all have to live and have some kind of stability. But whatever it is, just try it. You don't know. And there are so many different ways of doing things now. And you have to find your own way. I think that's what I've been trying to do. Nothing that I've done is really in the traditional manner. But I think you have to listen to yourself, and it's really important to know yourself, and that's hard sometimes. Just allow yourself to listen. It's just about being able to focus on what you are, what you have, wherever you are.
Biggest piece of advice from one actor to another?
I think it goes back to, again, being yourself and listening to yourself. Always, as an actor, telling your truth or the character's truth. It's I've seen a lot of documentaries recently, and I've been wondering why they're so compelling. The reason documentaries I find so compelling is because it's a real story and you're listening to real people speak. And no matter what part you play as an actor, you're always bringing yourself to it and your best self, even if it's something that's nothing like you, but it's really about the truth.